What is history? History is the study of past events, particularly in human affairs. It is the whole series of past events connected with someone or something. In the song We Didn't Start the Fire, Billy Joel compiles a list of important people and events between the time period 1949 to 1989. Our project primarily focuses on MJ squared, Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio, and John F. Kennedy. This is our project MJ squared, which is an exploration of the history of Marilyn Monroe, John F. Kennedy, and Joe DiMaggio by Annie, Ashley, and Shaky. Imagine that you are Marilyn Monroe. You have the money, the fame, and the looks that were bestowed on you by God. You have everything you could have ever wished for, and people look up to you as a model. But what lies behind that facade? There were drugs, assaults, and unsolved murders, and nothing is as it seems. Marilyn Monroe may have seemed to have the perfect life with everything she could have ever wanted, but her life as the iconic Marilyn Monroe was forced upon her by the public. Marilyn Monroe started off as a foster child with the name Norma Jean. At the age of 7, she moved in with Grace and Doc Godard, but was repeatedly sexually assaulted. Later on, she applied to the Blue Book modeling agency and was forced to dye her hair a golden blonde to match the fad of the time period. Norma later changed her name to Marilyn Monroe because her modeling executive didn't like the name Norma Jean. After modeling for a few years, she enrolled in UCLA and began her filming career. It was at this time that she met Joe DiMaggio, baseball star and heartthrob. Joe DiMaggio also had a rough start as he was the son of a poor fisherman. DiMaggio didn't get a break in the baseball community until he subbed for his brother in the San Francisco Seals. It was then that his baseball career started. He broke the record for the most consecutive hitting streak, and he was known for this record as it still stands now. After breaking the previous hitting streak, baseball became his life. Unfortunately, DiMaggio tore his ligament and had to go on medical leave for a few years. He was able to return to the sport, and Monroe and DiMaggio were soon married in San Francisco on January 14, 1954. This lovely couple traveled to Japan, where she filmed a scene for the movie 7-Year Itch. There, Marilyn filmed the iconic skirt-blowing scene with co-star Tom Ewell, the scene that infuriated DiMaggio. After a week, the couple separated, and unsurprisingly, DiMaggio and Monroe divorced 274 days later. After the divorce, Marilyn drowned herself in drugs to cope with the loss of DiMaggio. Many people lost faith in Monroe as she consumed more and more sleeping pills and alcohol. Although she was intoxicated, she was still a star. She was able to stop taking drugs and pills months on end and resume her acting career without facing any signs of withdrawals. In 1962, Monroe attended the birthday celebration of President John F. Kennedy in Madison Square Garden, where she sang the famous Happy Birthday song. For some reason, Monroe always got involved with guys who had unappealing histories. John F. Kennedy was the 35th president, but he was more infamous for getting the United States involved in multiple negative foreign affairs, including the Bay of Pigs, Cuban Missile Crisis, and the space race. Domestically, he was also heavily criticized for his lack of involvement in the African American civil rights movement. To escape from the negativity, Kennedy became involved in multiple affairs, including one with the highly drugged and intoxicated Marilyn Monroe. Their affair was short-lived, as was Monroe's and Kennedy's lives. Kennedy was assassinated in Texas in 1963 as a result of a conspiracy. Right before his death, Monroe was found dead in her apartment on August 5, 1962, due to an acute barbiturate poisoning resulting from a possible suicide. Monroe's death was never clearly defined and was never brought up again. Meanwhile, Joe DiMaggio continued to send half a dozen roses 3 times a week to Monroe's crypt as a sign of his eternal love. His last words were, "I'll finally get to see Marilyn again." History has taught us many precious lessons about the past. It has taught us about the fragileness of human life and the importance of preserving and strengthening that fragileness. History has also shown that many times the lines between reality and fiction blur as social media meets private life. As part of our project, our group explored the blurred lines in the lives of Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio, and John F. Kennedy. Our exploration has proven that our brain has selective hearing, especially when our beloved idols are at fault. But in the end, that selective hearing can only go so far as the truth will eventually be revealed.